My webmaster Glenn had suggested I explain to y'all a little bit about how my therapy approach is different than maybe a lot of other therapists. So I'm going to use back to the baseline before I teach you the 80-20 rule to kind of explain to you how and why my approach is different. As I mentioned earlier, a couple, there's this baseline of where they want to be, but through conflicts they have drifted off to where they have lost their sense of connection. And the goal is to get back up to that baseline. So when a couple comes in, most therapy is based on this. First off, we have to identify your issues. Then we got to talk about them because communication is the key. And when I say that, that makes perfect sense to me, but I don't really fully agree with that because most couples have tried talking down here, and it just makes things worse. And so sometimes they go to a therapist, and the therapist says, look, we got to talk. And they sit there and they bring up these issues that are emotionally charged, and the couple walks out of the session mad as blazes, wishing they came in separate cars or glad that they did. And the therapist keeps saying, we've got to talk, we've got to talk, we've got to talk. And they just turn the couple loose to begin with. Like the first session typically is what I call rapport building. And that's where they tell the therapist a little bit about themselves, where they're from, names of their kids, what they do for a living. The therapist tells them a little bit about themselves, and they get comfortable for this journey they're about to embark on. It's a bunch of flowery stuff. The next 5 sessions are allowing couples to have arguments they've already had at the house hundreds of times before. The problem with that is after about the 6th session, the therapist is even looking at them going, I don't know about this couple. And now the couple's even discouraged because they see the therapist is discouraged. And the reason that this doesn't work is because when the couple is down here on this lower realm, they're too emotionally raw. There's certain topics that when they come up, the conversation lasts about that long before one of them's hurt, mad, or aggravated. And so one of my things that's different is I try to get the couple to shut up in the front stages and let me teach them instead, teach them techniques that will catapult them back up towards his baseline. Because once a couple is higher up here towards his baseline, it's easier for them to talk and have constructive conversations. Down here, they have little to no chance. And from my experience, once I get a couple back up to the baseline, they're so glad they found each other, a lot of their issues just go away. And so what I try to do is I try to skip those first 6 sessions that most therapists typically let couples go through because I've learned they're not necessary and they can actually doom a couple. Once again, the goal is to get back up to the baseline. So that's how my approach is a little bit different.